Good morning. It's 6:48 a.m. on Tuesday, September 15th, 2015. I'm Christiana Ellis and I just got up. This is 5 more minutes. Feeling a little better today. I'm still kind of snotty and congested, but less. Luna, come on. Hey, shh. But less headachy and kind of brain foggy, so that's good. It probably helps that I made a point of trying to go to bed earlier last night. It wasn't that much earlier, but it was earlier than it could have been. I think I failed to take into account a lot of times that I have sort of a long, slow going to bed routine. And by the time I'm actually turning out all the lights and going to sleep, it's probably, an hour past whenever I decided, okay, now it's bedtime. So as I said yesterday, I did make a point of doing some apartment research yesterday. So, pat on the head for me. I found, some places that seem like they would probably be okay. They would be some of the several not right, not wrong, but different choices. One of the things I was thinking about in particular is whether or not air conditioning is a must-have. Certainly it's something I would want to have, but when you're doing this kind of a search, you have to balance that. Like, so for example, what if it is a location that's right along the river, which would be really cool for walking Luna, and it's conveniently located to the public transportation, and it is a shorter commute to work, and it's lower rent, and it has a washer and dryer in unit, but no air conditioning. Contrasted with a place that would have air conditioning but not be near a park, and has the same rent but no washer and dryer in unit. See what I'm talking about? I've never lived in a place that didn't have air conditioning but had this kind of weather in the summer, and so I don't really know what that would be like. I'm sure that you do things like you have the windows open and fans, and maybe even get you get your own window unit air conditioner, which maybe would be okay. I don't know. But that's just one of the many things being considered. So the other thing that I did to kind of help soften the blow of having to do some kind of an actual work was I watched Maximum Overdrive. And I watched it because a podcast that I've been really enjoying lately called How Did This Get Made, which is all about watching bad or sometimes just weird movies and talking about them. Got comedians Paul Scheer, Jason Mantzoukas, and then June Diane Rayfield, I think, who is actually, I believe, married to Paul Scheer, but is an actress and a funny lady in her own right. And so the reason I picked Maximum Overdrive is because that's going to be the next one that they're going to talk about for the podcast. And so I decided to watch it in advance, especially since I could get it for free. Because I have a Showtime subscription, I got it free on demand. And anyone who doesn't know what this movie is, it is the only movie ever written and directed by Stephen King. And it was made at the peak of his cocaine years. And it shows. It's not good, but when you're discussing it in the context of bad horror movies, it does have some really fascinating Stephen King touches while still being a bad horror movie. It's about one day the Earth passes through the tail of a comet, and now all machines are able to not only control themselves, but what they want to do is kill people. So there's a half dozen different things that try to hurt people, like an electric carving knife, vending machines, arcade machines, so on. But really it tends to be cars, and in particular big rig trucks, that are the big threat in this movie, which, I don't know, kind of makes sense. They're big, heavy. They're able to move around under their own power, and can slam into somebody. I think where Stephen King's touches show up in that movie are mostly just in the characters, because about half the characters actually have something interesting going on about them. It doesn't always connect real well to the rest of the story, but at least it feels like somebody put some thought into, hey, what's this guy's deal? What's her story? Why is this guy here? And so about half the characters have at least some modicum of attention paid to who they are as people, which in most bad horror movies you really don't have. What you have in most bad horror movies is a bunch of people, and maybe half of them get assigned a character trait. Like, this guy is the jerk, and this guy is the effeminate gay guy, and then this lady is the pretty sexy lady, and then that sort of thing. And then that's really all they have to them, because the movie doesn't have time for character development. This one doesn't have time for that much character development, really, but it's better than most bad horror movies. It's actually better than some good horror movies, because it's also true that a good horror movie doesn't necessarily need a lot of character development. It's better with it, but yeah, so there's a lot of goofy stuff in this movie, and a lot of stuff that just feels like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if, the sort of thing that might happen when someone's on cocaine. But then also I think a lot of it is probably just signs of being a first-time director. And it was after this that he decided, I don't think I need to do that anymore. I'm actually not 100% sure whether he just decided not to, or whether studios decided after that, maybe you just write them. How about that? In any case, it was probably a mutually beneficial arrangement. I watched that, and I wasn't sorry that I did, even though it's not a great movie, but it's kind of fun to be reminded of some of those old goofy movies, which is, of course, why I like the How Did This Get Made podcast. And scene. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow for 5 more minutes.